Flag is up. Flag is down. 2-seat freshman Eli Calfan. 3-seat sophomore Oswald Stalker. 4-seat senior Andrew Morgan. 5-seat freshman Joe Wolfen. 6-seat sophomore Nick Foster. 7-seat sophomore Jens Clausen. Stroked by junior Ryan Hutzley and coxed by freshman Axel de Boissard.
In the brown crew, we have bow seat Michael Kolar. 2-seat Nathan Manrique. 3-seat Hugh Gia. 4-seat Ben Olson. 5-seat Alexa Tozic. 6-seat Dylan Norris. 7-seat Lachlan McKenzie. 8-seat Malcolm Nash. And coxed by Orly Mansbach.
The Princeton crew, right away in the first 250 meters, pressing an advantage. As we've seen in the last few weeks, Ryan Hutzley, new to the stroke suit this year, really developed a lethal rhythm. His legs and arms are about the longest I've ever seen, and he's a very squat torso, but he certainly makes use of all that length up in the stroke seat with that rhythm, backed up by a very effective 7-seat Jens Clausen, and of course, the man himself, Nick Foster in 6. After my comment in the last race, I called for the Tigers about his weight. He's trying to shed a couple of his pounds. He's only down to about 247 today, but definitely still throwing down a lot of watts as the Tigers almost have a length at 500 meters.
Yeah, Christian Brothers Academy man Ryan Hutzley, maybe a newbie to stroking these 8s at Princeton, but certainly stroked some success in the 4s back in high school.
Oh yes, I raced Ryan Hutzley in the Christian Brothers 4 a number of times on the high school circuit, and it was an honor and a pleasure to be sure. Princeton may be breaking open water now. I'll get some stroke rates on the crews. Looks like they're pretty similar, but Princeton a noticeably more thumping rhythm, you might say.
Definitely with that nice length and compression at the top end.
Princeton at 37 and a half.
Senior Andrew Morgan hearing the hoots and hollers from the 4V as they pass. Starting to bite down and get into this, what seems like a possible break of open water for this Princeton crew coming into the 1,000-meter mark, about 15 strokes away.
A lot of energy from the Princeton 4V coming through here, and the Tigers are feeling it. You can see Jens Clausen in 7 looking over, seeing his brothers on the sidelines, just throwing down a couple extra watts, giving Princeton maybe a couple seats open water advantage as we cross the halfway point. In this boat we have one senior captain Andrew Morgan in the 4-seat. He's won a lot of races for the Princeton Tigers, a 2-time Eastern Sprints champion, and you can see he's really giving it everything his little heart has in this his last race on Lake Carnegie. And I'm sure he's got every ounce of faith in this crew. Good amount of youth in here, but also a good amount of experience in front of Captain Andrew Morgan. Joe Wolfen in 5, foaming at the mouth at this point in the race. Really, really just fervent in his strokes today.
And in front of him, Nick Foster, as we said, the crowd favorite as always, with his signature gasp for air in the 1,000 meters.
QT Patootie, that's what they call him around the boathouse.
And plenty of experience. We have Jens Clausen in 7-seat, as Jim said, fresh off of an Eastern Sprints victory in the 2V last year. Whipping it along in the 4V now.
Princeton maybe about half a length of open water at this point. Brown staying long, very sharp around the front end, this Brown crew. But maybe overstroking Princeton slightly, which means they may not have quite the same space, quite the same gears to run through as we come into the last 500 meters. Another man from Rye, New York in the stroke seat of this Brown crew, Malcolm Nash. Really love to see some good representation out here. Go Garnets. And Princeton, maybe 3/4 of a length of open water now, and they do not show any signs of slowing down. Very aggressive, these lower boats for the Tigers. The freshman bow pair, Stefan Pinar and Eli Calfan. Eli's mane of hair getting into his face and mouth as the wind starts to pick up a bit. But he is unperturbed. really, really whacking on it up in that 2 seat. New to the boat this week, Oswald Stalker in the 3 seat. The silky man from Westminster College in the UK. When I first met him, I really couldn't understand his accent, but now I understand it perfectly, and he understands this rhythm, and he is really shouting at his boys to propel them to a lethal final sprint and as big a margin as is possible for this Tiger 3V.
Into the last 200 meters here. Princeton over a length of open water now. Coming into the last 20 strokes, looks like they will be taking the 3V victory following the 4V victory, as we'll give you a second margin coming across the line in about 5 strokes.
Princeton up at about 40 strokes a minute across the line.
Cross the line now. Brown. Cross now, just under 10 seconds behind the Princeton crew. So another impressive margin from this Princeton deep squad. Really displaying some great depth here as we bring you back up to the start of the race course for the 2V matchup.
The business end of the morning for the heavyweights, the second varsity and then the first varsity racing for the Content Cup coming up next.